These are the hair growth secrets no one is sharing anymore. These are the most important hair growth secrets, and the biggest secret is that none of them are a secret. It's just that every single secret is so basic and boring that nobody wants to actually focus on it. But if you focus on all these secrets that I'm about to share with you, that's what's going to maximize your growth when it comes to anything else. Any viral rosemary oil like the one I have, any rice water. If you don't do any of these that I'm mentioning here, none of the fancy things that you're trying that promise to grow your hair overnight will actually work because you're missing out on the basics. So let's get back to the basics for a second and focus on the first one. The biggest factor that influences how your hair grows, how your hair texture is expressed. You cannot change your genetics or your DNA, but the biggest factor that can really influence your hair growth, softness, health, shine is your diet, okay? This is not any magical hair product because you cannot outshine your diet, okay? You need a perfectly balanced diet at all times. Now, you also have to notice that if at any point in time you drastically change your diet from one thing to something else, like if you were vegan and for health reasons or whatever reasons you have, you decide to go on a full carnivorous diet or just like omnivorous, so you eat everything, your body might get a little bit confused and your hair might change. Your body is going to focus on making sure that all your vital organs are working at their maximum capabilities. And so, because your hair is not a vital organ, it may be neglected. Protein being the most important one when it comes to hair, because your hair is about 90 something percent keratin, which is a form of protein, meaning if your diet is lacking in protein, your hair will be lacking in protein. You might have more breakage, you might have dull, lifeless hair. If you are not hydrated, which is included in your diet, your hair is going to be dry from the inside out. So no matter what amazing moisturizers and deep conditioners and waters and whatever you spray on your hair, it cannot outweigh the dryness of your hair that's coming from the inside. Fats are also extremely important for hair growth, for adding shine, for the suppleness and the health of your hair. That's why we are always advised to have very fatty, healthy fatty foods like avocados, fish that's high in omega 3s and 6s. And so before you do anything for your hair to make it better, look at your diet because it's not only going to benefit your hair, it's going to benefit your entire body and health. The second hair growth secret that you absolutely need to know is one that is not so much a secret but heavily abused either way. Trims. You should be getting trims as frequent as necessary. Now, notice I did not say get trims frequently for no reason, okay? A lot of people and even some hairstylists would tell you that you have to trim your hair every 6 to 8 weeks. For some people, especially if you're using a lot of heat, maybe a lot of chemicals, or you manipulate your hair in a way where the ends constantly get damaged, which is already a disservice to your hair growth journey. If you do that, then maybe you do need to trim your hair every 6 to 8 weeks. However, you should be trimming your hair every 6 to 30 weeks. I don't know how many weeks I can give you an example of. The thing is, if you do not have damaged ends, split ends, or dull ends, there is no need to cut them. You only cut your hair when you need the trim. And when you do need the trim, make sure you get rid of all the dead ends. Because my hair is curly and usually after a trim, my ends look really good for a really long time. And my hair is also in layers. So when I feel my hair, when I do my hair in its curly state, it usually feels perfectly fine for months and I cannot see the damage. Until I blow dry my hair and get ready to flat iron, that's when I can see the damage. So before I would only trim my hair twice a year because I would only use heat a maximum of twice a year. Sometimes it would even only be once a year because that's when I would straighten my hair. I could see the split ends best and I could give myself a little perfect trim. The problem is I would always have way more split ends than I would hope for because I could not see them when my hair was in the curly state. So now I decided to put myself on a 3-month schedule. So I will blow dry or flat iron my hair. Usually now it's just a blow dry because I only like to flat iron my hair once or twice a year. But every 3 months, I will blow dry my hair, check out my split ends. If there's no split ends, I won't cut the split ends. If there's split ends, I will cut them. If there's more split ends than I thought, like instead of a 1/4 inch or 1 inch, it's 4 inches, I will be cutting 4 inches of hair because splits go up. If you do not get rid of the dead and split ends, they will continue to damage the rest of the hair that you have. So please, I know it's scary. If you need to, get rid of it. If you do not, don't let anybody pressure you into trimming your hair when you do not need it. The next hair growth secret that I think nobody's talking about anymore is, because it's very boring, sleeping on a satin pillowcase, okay? So this is my pillowcase. I'm pretty sure I bought these pillowcases from Amazon. This is just a black one. Of course, I sleep with a black, let me throw that. I always sleep with a black silk or satin pillowcase simply because I like to put some oils on my scalp, and sometimes those oils have a certain color to them. Like my moringa rosemary oil might have a little bit of a green tint to it, and so I wouldn't want to stain my pillowcases. Now, as an added bonus, I would suggest you also sleep with a satin bonnet, specifically one that has a straight edge like this one. I have had this for a really long time. A lot of people ask me where I get this bonnet from. I used to buy it from my local beauty supply store, but I don't live where I used to live anymore and I don't have access to it. So I always just order them on Amazon. I've just ordered a new one. I believe it's $5 or less. Anyway, this is my favorite one because this flat edge doesn't disrupt your hairline. It doesn't cause any unwanted friction that could lead to traction alopecia or just hair loss because your hair can get tangled in that little, like, wrinkled part. So I would just prefer to get this, but this is the best one in my opinion. The last resort would be a silk or satin scarf. The reason why I don't always recommend that is because it has more room for error. Because if you tie it too tight at the same place every single day, you can actually cause damage to your hair because it might be too tight on your scalp and you may be damaging some of your follicles. But if you tie it very gently and it doesn't slip off your head, that's fine. The reason why I put these as added bonuses is because there's nothing pretty about a bonnet, okay? Especially if you have a boyfriend or a husband and you either don't like them seeing you in it or they don't like it, so you don't like to wear it, then at least have a silk or satin pillowcase. Now, the reason why you actually want to have one is because it's not going to draw any moisture from your hair like cotton or most other fibers would do. Also, your hair is not going to get stuck into the pillowcase, and that can cause a lot of friction and dryness and breakage. So the reason why it is amazing is because it protects you from all that. Your hair is just going to be gliding across the pillow, so there's going to be no unwanted friction. It's not going to get caught in the pillowcase because the fibers are sewn very tightly together, so it doesn't go in like what happens with cotton. Number 4 is also a very important hair growth secret that a lot of people do not talk about or refuse to acknowledge because it supports their theory that their hair doesn't grow and nothing they do ever works. How fast your hair grows does not affect how long your hair is going to be, okay? It's just going to take you a little bit longer to get there, but it does not affect how long your hair is going to be. What affects how long your hair is going to be is breakage, okay? So if you ever had relaxed hair like me, or if you've ever dyed your hair before, you may have noticed your hair was maybe shoulder length, and now your hair has grown out. Either your natural hair, your roots have grown out, or if you had colored your hair, you may see like a whole thick, like 1 inch line of hair growth. Yet your hair is still exactly the same length. Does that mean your hair is not growing? No, it means you broke off the exact amount of hair that grew, okay? Now, some people's hair grows a 1/4 inch a month, some people's hair grows a whole inch a month, but on average, people's hair grows about 1/2 inch a month. Just because your hair grows a 1/4 inch a month, that does not mean you cannot have hair as long as someone whose hair grows 1 inch a month. It just means it's going to take you a little bit longer to get there, but the hair is growing. So what you need to focus on is retaining the length as fast as possible, which means focusing on your ends and making sure that your ends are not breaking off. That's where you keep the length. Your hair grows from the roots, your hair is kept from the ends. Another thing to note is your hair is not like, you don't have different ends than you used to have before, okay? Your hair is all the same hair, and every part of it eventually becomes an end, right? So this part right now, this is a root, right? So one day your hair was this short, right? And so it felt like all your hair was roots, right? And then now your hair was this long, and it felt like you had, roots and mid shaft, and the ends are just kind of, but then the ends keep going down. And that's the same hair that was this short. So if you treated your hair terribly when it was this short, when it gets to this short, even if you're doing trims, if you treated it extremely badly, you have damaged it, it has heat damage, it's going to be the same damaged ends. And when it is time for it to split and break off, it's going to be so much easier. So if you want the best ends, you have to take care of your hair from the roots all the way to the ends at all times. Now let's get to the fifth one, which is one that if you love heat, you will absolutely hate. And this is, if you want to drastically increase the length of your hair, you are going to have to drastically reduce the amount of heat you use. Now, this of course is relative, because if you wear your hair in heat styles all the time, and if you perhaps have naturally curly hair like me, where your curl pattern may be altered or damaged, you may not care. And please do not let anyone force you into caring. Not everybody has to rock their natural curl pattern. Not everyone should be forced to wear their natural hair exactly how it grows out of their head. If you want to bleach it, if you want to dye it, if you want to wear it straight, if you want to wear it curly, that's all up to you. However, if you want it to be healthy, you have to reduce the amount of heat that you use. So if you use heat more than once a week, start by reducing it to only once a week. If you use heat maybe once every 2 weeks, maybe try and drop it to once a month. Try and incorporate some heatless styles, like doing a protective style. You can do braids, you can do twists, you can do the big Dutch braids, French braids, whatever you want. Try and find a way to avoid heat styling your hair. I personally only heat style my hair 1 to 2 times a year, and that's direct heat using a blow dryer and a flat iron. But when it comes to blow dry only, I usually do this about every 3 months now because of my trims. But just go for what works for you, and however much you're using it, if you're experiencing any damage currently, which I think you might be if you're watching this video, you want to drastically reduce that, because direct heat can be very detrimental. Once it starts damaging your entire curl pattern, your entire hair shaft, it's going to be harder for you to make the hair look good, and you're actually going to end up damaging your hair even more just to make it look better. So if your hair is completely fried, it naturally looks like frizzy and damaged all the way to the top. So you're going to find yourself forcing yourself to use even more heat to make the hair look a little bit more sleek, and in the process you'll be damaging it even more. And in that same vein, if you want to use heat whenever you do, please use a heat protectant. It is not a sales gimmick. Heat protectors actually work, whether it is a spray, whether it is a serum. Oils are not heat protectants. If you use oil when you flat iron your hair, you will fry your hair. You are cooking your hair in oil. Coconut oil, avocado oil, whatever it says, natural heat protecting properties, do not use it. Do not use oil unless it's like an oil infused, like an oily serum that is chemically infused with heat protectant, like a sunscreen. Just like coconut oil is not going to protect your skin from the sunburn, it's not going to protect your hair from a flat iron. However, indirect heat is always welcome when you are deep conditioning your hair, when you are leaving your moisturizer in your hair. You can go under a plastic cap, steam your hair. All that kind of stuff is welcome, as long as you are not raising the temperatures too high that can damage the fibers of your hair. Speaking of keeping your hair moisturized and using indirect heat, you can actually check out my moisturizing routine right here if you'd like to see how I moisturize my hair, whether it's out or in twists. My name is Angelica. Hit the subscribe button if you want more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!